Hello friends. What happens when the boundless fire of Sagittarius meets the sharp, calculated energy of the Chinese zodiac's rooster? You get someone who's not just confident, they're magnetic. Not just ambitious, they're relentless. A person who's equal parts dreamer and doer, philosopher and performer. The Sagittarius rooster individual is a walking paradox, and that's exactly why they're so fascinating. Let's unravel the enigma together. Love. The archer's heart meets the rooster's pride. Falling in love with a Sagittarius rooster is like stepping into a wildfire, warm, radiant, impossible to ignore, and likely to change you forever. This is a combination of zodiac energies that's both electric and strategic. Sagittarius brings in raw enthusiasm, a deep belief in love as a spiritual quest, and an appetite for emotional honesty. The rooster, on the other hand, brings precision, selectivity, and an almost instinctual awareness of who is worth their time. This means they don't fall in love easily, but when they do, it's purposeful. They don't hope for love, they aim for it, and when they strike, it's direct and unforgettable. They're natural romantics, but not in the conventional, soft-focus movie way. Their idea of romance is rooted in shared experiences that feel like once-in-a-lifetime events. Conversations that stretch into the morning, motorcycle rides under a sky full of stars, or deciding on a whim to fly across the country just to watch the sunrise. With them, love is an adventure. They want to grow with you, challenge you, laugh with you until it hurts, and occasionally disappear into their own mind just to come back with a deeper understanding of what makes your heart tick. There's nothing lazy or lukewarm about how they love. It's full body, full mind, full fire. At their core, Sagittarius roosters need emotional honesty and transparency to feel safe. They're not impressed by surface-level flattery or empty declarations. They want to see your soul. But here's the catch, they don't want to be smothered by it. This is someone who values space as much as intimacy. Too many emotional check-ins? They'll start looking for the nearest exit. Their love language is best described as freedom with fidelity. They want a relationship that breathes, one where both people are evolving, individually and together. And if you try to box them in, limit their growth, or question their independence, you'll learn very quickly how fast a fire can vanish. Their sense of humor is one of their most disarming weapons in love. They flirt with intelligence, challenge with charm, and they're masters of teasing without cruelty. Sarcastic one-liners, clever retorts, and unexpected depth behind casual jokes, these are their tools of affection. They use humor as a bridge, a shield, and sometimes a test. If you can't laugh with them, think quickly on your feet, or hold your own in verbal fencing, they'll start to lose interest. But if you can meet their energy, give as good as you get, and laugh in life's most unexpected moments, they'll be utterly hooked. Despite their desire for freedom, Sagittarius roosters are deeply loyal when emotionally invested. Once they've chosen someone, truly chosen them, they are shockingly dependable in the big ways. They might forget your cousin's birthday or misplace their keys again, but if your world falls apart at 2 a.m., they'll be there, without question. They protect the people they love fiercely, often putting their own needs aside in times of real crisis. Their loyalty may not always look traditional, but it runs deep, and it's backed by a code of honor they rarely speak of but never break. There's an intensity in the way they see their partners. They don't just notice your smile, they see what hides behind it. They'll study your moods like a detective, pick up on what you're not saying, and make mental notes of the tiniest details. They want to know you in the way that matters, your fears, your dreams, the reasons behind the way you laugh. It's this combination of intellectual curiosity and emotional fearlessness that makes their love so memorable. Even long after they've left, people remember being loved by a Sagittarius rooster. Because it never felt ordinary. It felt like being seen, for who you really are, and still being chosen anyway. Marriage? A contract? No. A partnership? Absolutely. To the Sagittarius rooster, marriage isn't about rings, ceremonies, or shared tax returns. It's about joining forces with someone who matches their rhythm, a rhythm that's fast, unpredictable, and fiercely purpose-driven. This is a soul that sees marriage not as a binding promise, but as a bold collaboration. They aren't looking to settle down, they're looking to build up. Build dreams, build empires, build stories worth telling. If you're thinking white picket fences and fixed routines, think again. This individual thrives on momentum and transformation. To them, a successful marriage must feel like movement, not maintenance. The daily routine of traditional marriage, the repeated dinner conversations, the set vacation schedules, the weekly grocery trips, can slowly suffocate a Sagittarius rooster if not balanced with mental and emotional stimulation. They crave novelty, not in the form of chaos, but in the form of evolution. Their ideal marriage is one where both partners are constantly leveling up. They want to talk ideas over coffee at sunrise, start passion projects together, argue about politics, and then fly across the world to eat something they can't pronounce. Predictability is poison. Adventure is their oxygen. What makes them truly unique in marriage is their desire for a partnership of equals. They're not here to dominate or be dominated, they want to collaborate. The rooster's need for control might flare up occasionally, especially during decision-making or goal setting, but it's always anchored in a desire for excellence, not ego. Meanwhile, Sagittarius energy craves openness, intellectual discourse, and mutual respect. Put these traits together, and you get someone who wants a co-pilot, not a passenger. Someone who says, "Let's build this life together, but let's both keep growing while we do." That said, this isn't always a smooth ride. Their strong personalities mean sparks will fly. Ego clashes are inevitable, especially when the rooster's need to be right meets Sagittarius's unwillingness to be tamed. But if those sparks are harnessed well, they ignite progress instead of conflict. Healthy debate becomes foreplay. Disagreement becomes an opportunity for deeper understanding. What matters is that both parties are willing to listen and learn. A Sagittarius rooster will never thrive in a marriage where they're treated like a project to be managed or a flame to be dimmed. Their deep-rooted need for autonomy is one of the most important aspects to understand. Even in marriage, they require space, intellectually, emotionally, and sometimes physically. This doesn't mean distance in love. It means freedom of thought, freedom of movement, and trust. Smother them with check-ins, or assume access to their every emotion 24/7, and you'll feel the relationship start to fray. They need to know that you chose them knowing they'd always have a part of themselves that answers only to their own compass. When that need is respected, they become astonishingly loyal and devoted. But when it's restricted, they become restless, irritable, and emotionally distant. They are also selective with emotional vulnerability. In marriage, they give their heart slowly, cautiously, but once given, they protect that bond with a near military level of discipline. They might not be overly sentimental on the surface, but they'll remember how you take your tea, which words wound you, and the exact date you first laughed uncontrollably together. They'll guard the sanctity of your relationship with quiet fierceness, often more through actions than words. And they'll expect the same loyalty in return, not blind loyalty, but loyalty born of shared growth and mutual respect. At the soul of it, a Sagittarius rooster doesn't want a marriage that looks good on paper. They want a marriage that feels like a journey, like something alive and changing. They want someone who sees life the same way they do, not as a script to follow, but as a story to write together. If you can walk beside them, not behind, not ahead, but right beside them, sharing the pen, challenging the plot lines, daring the unknown, then you won't just be married to a Sagittarius rooster. You'll be married to momentum, magic, and a love that never stops evolving. Sex: bold, curious, and electric. For the Sagittarius rooster, sex is not just a physical act. It's a form of self-expression, a playground for the senses, and a layered emotional experience. It's where their fiery Sagittarian spontaneity fuses with the rooster's sharp precision, creating a lover who is both passionate and intentional. They don't view intimacy as a duty or a habit. They see it as a vital, living part of a relationship. When they engage in sex, they bring their full selves, heart, mind, body, and soul, into the moment. And they expect their partner to do the same. They are naturally adventurous, which means they're rarely satisfied with the routine or predictable. Sexual repetition can become boring quickly unless it's recharged with creativity, surprise, and emotional nuance. They're the type to suggest trying something new, not for shock value, but because they genuinely find excitement in discovery. Sagittarius roosters thrive on experimentation, not just in technique, but in emotional exploration. They want to know what excites you, what scares you, what you've never told anyone else. Sex, to them, is as much about curiosity as it is about chemistry. Foreplay for them is deeply psychological. They're seduced by intelligence, drawn to wit, and sparked by tension. A good debate, a clever comeback, or a look that suggests unspoken desire can be more arousing than any traditional approach. They like a bit of friction, mental, emotional, and physical. The rooster's desire for excellence combines with the Sagittarian need for stimulation, creating someone who wants to be not just good in bed, but exceptional. They want their partners to feel seen, desired, awakened, and they want to feel the same in return. Lazy, disconnected intimacy will never satisfy them. When the moment arrives, they show up with undeniable intensity. Their energy is commanding, playful, and surprisingly intuitive. Sagittarius brings boldness. They're not afraid to lead, to experiment, or to make the first move. The rooster adds discipline and rhythm, creating a balance between spontaneity and control. It's a performance, yes, but one that's sincere. They're not trying to impress with ego, they're trying to connect through impact. There's often an edge of theatricality in their physical presence, but beneath the surface, there's an earnest desire to emotionally engage and please. However, for all their confidence and fire, there's a vulnerable side to their sexual self that isn't immediately obvious. They don't just want to be wanted, they want to be understood. They crave connection that goes beyond touch. A satisfying sexual relationship with a Sagittarius rooster must be built on emotional trust and mutual respect. They want to know that they can bring their fantasies, fears, and full selves into the bedroom without judgment. They're looking for more than pleasure, they're looking for a shared emotional frequency that can't be faked. Keeping the mystery alive is essential. They thrive when desire is kept dynamic, when there's always a new layer to discover. They're drawn to partners who can shift gears, who can be playful one moment, intense the next, and then whisper something that completely changes the mood. Routine drains their energy. They need spark, surprise, and spontaneity to stay engaged. The Sagittarius rooster wants a lover who is endlessly fascinating, who is unafraid to explore and be explored. When they find that kind of chemistry, they don't just light the room, they set it on fire. Friendship, the life of the party, and the wisdom in the corner. A Sagittarius rooster in your life is a friend who redefines what friendship means. They are the ones who will text you out of the blue with tickets to a concert 3 states away, who remember the exact book that changed your perspective 5 years ago, and who can go from laughing about memes to quoting Nietzsche without missing a beat. Their friendship is a full-body experience, energizing, unpredictable, and deeply enriching. They aren't casual about connection. When they decide you're a friend, you're part of their chosen inner world, and they'll defend you, elevate you, and challenge you all in one breath. They have a natural gift for creating magnetic, high-energy environments. At parties, they're often the center of attention, not because they crave it, but because their presence demands it. Their blend of humor, confidence, and sharp observation makes them entertaining to be around. But here's the twist, they're not just performers. Watch closely, and you'll notice that after the laughter fades, they're the ones sitting quietly with someone who looks like they need to talk. They'll step out of the spotlight to sit in the shadows with you, offering not pity, but profound understanding. Their energy doesn't just entertain, it heals, supports, and ignites. They take friendship seriously, even if their style can appear casual on the surface. They might not check in every day, but when you truly need them, they'll drop everything to show up. They believe that loyalty is proven not by proximity, but by presence in pivotal moments. Whether it's helping you move at 2 a.m. or defending your name when you're not around, they're fiercely protective of the people they love. And if anyone crosses someone in their circle, the rooster's razor-sharp claws come out. Combine that with Sagittarius's righteous sense of justice, and you've got an ally who's equal parts guardian and cheerleader. Conversation with a Sagittarius Rooster friend is rarely small talk. They're more likely to ask, "What scares you the most about success?" than, "How was your day?" Their minds are always in motion, and they assume yours is too. They seek friends who are curious, open, and willing to wander into strange, deep, or philosophical territory. It's not that they can't do casual. They can banter and joke with the best of them, but they light up when conversations touch something real. They want to know what drives you, what keeps you awake at night, what you secretly hope for. To them, friendship is a sacred form of intimacy, one they take both seriously and joyfully. Their honesty is perhaps their most defining and polarizing trait as a friend. They don't sugarcoat. If your idea is weak, they'll say so. If your partner is treating you poorly, they'll say so louder. They're not cruel, but they are unsparing. Their truth-telling is an act of love, not criticism. They don't believe in letting their friends stay small or stuck. And while their candor can sting, it almost always pushes you to see something you hadn't before. Their brutal honesty is balanced by a rare sincerity. You always know where you stand, and you always know they want what's best for you, even if their delivery is intense. The only downside to their friendship? They can disappear. Sagittarius energy is constantly moving, chasing ideas, traveling, diving into new projects. Rooster energy piles on responsibilities, perfectionist goals, and high personal standards. Combined, this means they're often juggling 10 things at once, and friendships may unintentionally get sidelined. But they always come back. When they reappear, it's as if time never passed. They don't need maintenance to stay connected. For them, true friendship is measured in depth, not frequency. And if you're the kind of person who understands that, they'll be one of the most exciting, inspiring, and loyal friends you'll ever have. Business career, visionaries with a hustler's edge. In the world of business and career, the Sagittarius Rooster isn't here to blend in, they're here to break molds. This is the colleague who questions outdated systems in their first week on the job. The entrepreneur who launches a startup not for profit alone, but to shake an industry awake. Their approach to work is less about following paths and more about forging them. For them, success isn't measured in corner offices or job titles, it's measured in the size of the vision and the ripple effect of their impact. They aren't content to survive in business, they want to revolutionize it. They thrive in autonomy. Micromanagement is a fast track to burnout or rebellion. Sagittarius energy needs space to think, experiment, and occasionally fail without being leashed. Rooster energy, meanwhile, insists on excellence. The combination is powerful. They'll reject the status quo with the confidence of a rebel, then rebuild something better with the precision of an artisan. They don't just work hard, they work smart, constantly streamlining their process, leveraging technology, and seeking out mentors or ideas that challenge their thinking. When given freedom and resources, they often outperform everyone else in the room. Sagittarius lends them visionary thinking. They're natural futurists, often seeing trends, shifts, or possibilities long before others do. They think big, sometimes so big that people initially dismiss their ideas as unrealistic. But then the rooster steps in, grounding those wild dreams with tactical focus and sharp organization. This blend makes them a rare breed, the dreamer who can also deliver. They can pitch an ambitious concept with magnetic clarity and then execute it with relentless precision. Their presentations are often compelling, their arguments airtight, and their confidence contagious. In boardrooms or brainstorms, they shine effortlessly. They are born leaders, but not necessarily traditional ones. They don't lead with dominance, they lead with vision and inspiration. People follow them not because they have authority, but because they have energy. Their teams are often energized by their passion and challenged by their expectations. They believe in empowering others, but they can also be demanding, especially when it comes to excellence. They don't tolerate laziness or mediocrity, but they'll move mountains for a team member who shows grit, creativity, and loyalty. They're especially effective when leading initiatives that align with their values. The moment their heart is in it, they become unstoppable. Entrepreneurship is almost tailor-made for this personality. Sagittarius roosters crave purpose in their profession, and building something from scratch allows them to pour their ideals, ambition, and individuality into every aspect. They love building ecosystems where their vision can live and evolve. Their ventures often blend profit with passion. Think socially conscious brands, cutting-edge tech startups, bold media projects, or educational platforms with a twist. They're particularly good at spotting gaps in the market and innovating solutions that feel fresh, useful, and a bit ahead of their time. Give them a cause they care about, and they'll sell the world on it. Their greatest business superpower is their ability to reframe problems as opportunities. Where others see obstacles, they see creative puzzles. Their optimism isn't naive, it's resilient. They truly believe there's a way forward, even in chaos. This mindset, paired with the rooster's problem-solving skills and hunger for mastery, makes them excellent crisis managers and even better trailblazers. But it's not all smooth sailing. Their Achilles heel is overcommitment. They say yes to too many things, too many ideas, too many people, too many promises. Their drive often outpaces their calendar, leading to burnout, missed deadlines, or half-finished brilliance. They need strong boundaries, and sometimes a brutally honest assistant. Still, when a Sagittarius rooster decides to conquer something, whether it's launching a company, changing careers, or making a bold pivot, it's rarely a matter of if they succeed. It's a matter of when. Their combination of charisma, strategy, and raw enthusiasm makes them hard to ignore and even harder to compete with. They aren't afraid of failing, they're afraid of stagnation. And that fear drives them to keep evolving, learning, and reaching for what others might call impossible. In business, as in life, they don't just play the game. They rewrite the rules entirely. Dark sides, the flame can burn, and the rooster can cut. The Sagittarius rooster might be magnetic, brilliant, and driven, but they're not without their darker layers. In fact, their shadows are as sharply defined as their strengths. This is a personality built on fire and edge, vision and ego. And when those qualities go unchecked, they don't just misfire, they explode. If you're close to one, you'll likely encounter both the brilliance and the backlash. Because when this combo leans into its flaws, it can be dazzlingly destructive, both to others and to itself. One of their most challenging traits is ego, complex, multi-layered, and fiercely protected. Sagittarius provides the philosophical backbone that often convinces them they're right, even when they're not. The rooster adds polish, pride, and a perfectionist streak that makes them hard to challenge without triggering defensiveness. Together, these traits can result in someone who believes they not only know best, but are the best, and they'll find subtle or not so subtle ways to let you know. This intellectual and moral superiority can alienate people over time, especially those who don't enjoy being corrected in casual conversation or made to feel inferior under the guise of just being honest. Their fierce independence is another double-edged sword. While their desire for freedom is admirable, it often mutates into sheer obstinacy. They have a built-in resistance to authority, structure, or advice, no matter how well-intentioned. The rooster in them hates being questioned. The Sagittarius recoils at any suggestion that their autonomy be compromised. Offer constructive criticism and you might get hit with sarcasm, a cold wall, or a complete disappearance. This stubbornness can make them hard to work with in group dynamics, and harder still to live with in close relationships. Even gentle compromise can feel, to them, like a threat to their self-rule. Their ambition, while often a superpower, can easily spiral into chaos. The Sagittarian dreamer wants to say yes to every new idea, opportunity, or collaboration, convinced that their energy is limitless. The rooster, meanwhile, pushes them to achieve, sometimes without acknowledging the realistic limitations of time, resources, or stamina. The result? Overcommitment becomes a pattern. They stretch themselves too thin, make promises they can't always keep, and find themselves racing against clocks they built for themselves. And when things fall through, they tend to rationalize rather than take accountability, blaming the system, the timeline, or the universe, anyone but themselves. Emotionally, their confidence becomes a mask. The Sagittarius Rooster can be deeply sensitive, but they'd rather break into a monologue about global politics than admit they're hurting. Vulnerability is not their default setting. It feels too exposed, too chaotic, too unstructured. They prefer to lead with strength, wit, and presence. But behind that commanding exterior can be loneliness, insecurity, or a sense of being misunderstood. The irony? They often attract people who admire them precisely because of that mask, making it even harder to take it off. When emotional wounds surface, they often retreat, get irritable, or bury themselves in work, rather than asking for support. Their sharp tongue is another trait that can wound, even when unintentional. The rooster's blunt precision, combined with Sagittarius's lack of verbal filter, can result in comments that cut deep. They may claim they're just telling the truth, but truth without compassion becomes cruelty. In moments of stress, impatience, or confrontation, they may default to sarcasm, dismissiveness, or superiority. And because they're often articulate and quick-thinking, they usually win arguments, though what they win in logic, they may lose in emotional trust. Their partners, co-workers, and friends can end up feeling belittled or unheard, even when the Sagittarius Rooster genuinely cares. And yet, here's the redemption arc. When a Sagittarius Rooster becomes aware of these shadows, they don't just grow. They transform. Unlike some personalities who run from self-reflection, they charge toward it once they realize it's necessary. Self-awareness is a muscle they can build quickly, and once they start to see how their ego, pride, or emotional armor is holding them back, they begin to self-correct. They read, they journal, they ask hard questions. They may not always apologize in traditional ways, but they'll show growth through action, not words. And when they do evolve, they often become powerful examples of emotional intelligence, because they've fought hard to earn it. So yes, the Sagittarius Rooster can burn. Their fire can be overwhelming. Their claws can come out. But within that intensity is the potential for some of the most rapid personal growth you'll ever witness. They're not afraid of their shadows, they just need the courage to sit still with them. And when they do, they become something rare. A person who not only shines, but does so with depth, humility, and hard-won grace. Life goals: bigger, bolder, beyond the horizon. When it comes to long-term ambition, the Sagittarius Rooster doesn't just set goals, they craft missions. These individuals are vision chasers by nature, driven by a burning need to achieve something meaningful, daring, and above all, lasting. They don't just want success in a conventional sense, they want impact. Not the quiet kind, either. Theirs is the kind of legacy that echoes in industries, communities, or even movements. While other signs may find comfort in stability, the Sagittarius Rooster is fueled by potential, their own and the world's. They look at the horizon and think, what if I go further than anyone else? And then they do. They are unapologetically ambitious, but not in the cutthroat way. Their desire to rise is not about domination, it's about proving what's possible. Sagittarius provides the sense of infinite potential. They truly believe the sky is not the limit, it's just the beginning. The Rooster, on the other hand, injects discipline, planning, and the constant need to be exceptional. Together, these forces make the Sagittarius Rooster a relentless builder of ideas, platforms, companies, experiences, you name it. They are not driven by fame, but by influence. Not by applause, but by the echo their work leaves behind. Their goals are rarely static. Because their minds are constantly evolving, so are their dreams. One month they might be obsessed with launching a sustainable fashion brand, and the next they're talking about writing a memoir, or starting a school, or producing a documentary. Their direction shifts, but the intensity never wavers. To some, this may look like a lack of focus. But for the Sagittarius Rooster, it's part of a bigger pattern. Each goal is a stepping stone, a new chapter, or a piece of a much larger vision. They don't fear changing their path, because they know the destination is still greatness, whatever form that ends up taking. At the heart of their ambition is a deep fear, not of failure, but of irrelevance. The Sagittarius Rooster does not want to go through life unnoticed, unchallenged, or unfulfilled. Mediocrity, routine, settling, That's their version of a nightmare. They crave lives that are dynamic and deeply intentional. Every choice, every job, every partnership is filtered through the question, does this get me closer to the life I'm meant to live? If it doesn't, they'll walk away without regret. And if it does, they'll dive in with an intensity that can be breathtaking to witness. Their ideal life isn't just about achieving, it's about creating meaning with velocity. They want to build empires that educate, write words that awaken, lead teams that transform. But they also want the journey to be exhilarating. Sagittarius demands excitement, travel, laughter, and the freedom to take wild, purpose-driven detours. The rooster brings in aesthetic pride and sharp execution. They want the result to look as good as it feels. For this hybrid personality, success must be felt, not just measured. It's not enough to hit numbers, they want to feel alive in the process. Perhaps one of the most powerful and overlooked aspects of their life goals is their ability to uplift others as they climb. Sagittarius is a natural teacher and motivator. Rooster is a model of discipline and drive. Together, they ignite something in people. Whether they're mentoring a young creator, leading a team of underdogs, or simply being unapologetically themselves, they show others what's possible. They don't hoard their success, they share it, amplify it, and multiply it through the people around them. Their flame doesn't burn alone, it lights torches. In the end, the life goals of a Sagittarius rooster aren't just goals. They're declarations, challenges, movements. They want to live boldly and leave behind a blueprint for how to chase dreams without apology, to love without hesitation, and to lead without compromise. Their future is never quiet, never small, and never stuck in one place. It's an evolving force, just like them. And when they finally look back on the life they've built, it won't just be about what they achieved. It'll be about what they sparked in everyone who watched them chase the horizon, and dared to chase their own. In the end, a Sagittarius born in the year of the rooster is a force of nature. There's something undeniably electric about a Sagittarius rooster. You don't simply meet them, you encounter them, like a sudden storm rolling in across a quiet sky. They carry the charge of someone who knows exactly who they are, or at least is completely unafraid to figure it out in public. Their very presence is a study in contradictions that somehow work. Fire meets steel, idealism meets precision, spontaneity meets calculated brilliance, and the result? A personality so vivid, so specific, that it leaves a mark on everyone they pass. These people don't fade into the background. They set the tempo for the room, for the moment, and sometimes for your life. Charisma seems to drip off them without effort. It's not the kind of forced charm that seeks approval, it's something rawer, more magnetic. People are drawn to their energy because it feels like something just outside the rules. They speak with conviction, even when they're wrong. They walk with purpose, even when the destination keeps changing. They laugh loudly, live fully, and think deeply, often all at the same time. This makes them stand out not just as leaders, but as personalities you can't help but orbit. Even when they're quiet, they hold a kind of charge that makes people lean in closer, waiting for the next thought, joke, or challenge. And they are complex. You'll never quite pin them down. Just when you think you understand them, they'll do something that contradicts your entire perception, and then own it with absolute confidence. They are both confident and deeply introspective, sharp-witted and soft-hearted, deeply loyal yet fiercely independent. They're the friend who'll disappear for a month and then show up with a life-changing idea. The partner who challenges everything you believe and then loves you more deeply because of it. The colleague who drives you mad with their perfectionism but also makes you believe in the impossible. They don't make sense until they do. A relationship with them, romantic, platonic, or professional, is rarely smooth sailing. They can be exhausting, not because they're demanding in the traditional sense, but because they ask you to show up fully. They don't settle for half-truths, lukewarm effort, or passive existence. If you're in their orbit, they expect fire, curiosity, growth. They'll push your buttons and pull you into uncomfortable territory, not out of malice, but out of an instinct to elevate. They want to be around people who dare to evolve. And if you're not ready for that, they'll either outgrow you, or ignite something in you you didn't know existed. They are the type of person who, years after you've parted ways, you still remember in technicolor. You remember the spontaneous road trip, the 2 a.m. talk about purpose, the fight that left you rattled, but also revealed something true. The moment they looked at you like they saw you, maybe more clearly than you saw yourself. Because being close to a Sagittarius Rooster means being witnessed, fully, vividly, and sometimes uncomfortably. It means being invited into a life that's moving fast, dreaming big, and demanding presence. And for those willing to take the ride, the reward is unforgettable. And maybe, just maybe, that's the point. Maybe the Sagittarius Rooster isn't here to be easy, digestible, or universally adored. Maybe they're here to challenge expectations, awaken possibility, and remind us all what it looks like to live unapologetically. Their impact is never small, their presence never neutral. They burn bright, they speak loud, they love hard, and then they leave you changed. And if you're lucky enough to earn their trust, keep their pace, and embrace the beautiful contradictions, you'll find that knowing them wasn't just memorable. It was transformational.